So, when this video's got a story behind it, and I'm just going to go over the story really quick. Um, I was approached by a couple of my students. I call them my media consultants, my new media consultants, because they're in charge of new media. And they're, like I said, they're 17-year-olds. They're a couple of my students. They're actually a couple of assistants of mine. And they've been taking care of my YouTube presence. They're trying to fix up my channel a little more and tagging videos and that sort of stuff. So they've been really a benefit to me. But one thing that they said that I was missing, and that's why I'm shooting this video, is an explanation of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And so, with that in mind, this is obviously not going to be a physics video, but it's going to be an explanation of why I do what I do and what I'm currently doing. Let's start with what I'm currently doing. I've implemented what's known as a blended class. Hybrid is another word for it, and the idea is to mix some traditional elements with online elements into one classroom. Okay, into a traditional class, as in it's in a brick and mortar school, but using online techniques. And why I've done that is, and I'll go over in another video what exactly my blended class looks like. But why I did that was that I realized a couple of things. The first thing I realized is that kids do better when they participate, and participation is something that every teacher strives for in their classroom. So I created this project many years ago, before even video, trying to develop a way in which I can get my kids to participate, to build something. So using several tools like Wikispaces, I managed to get kids to input what they would have put in their notebooks online to develop, in a sense, a book or a curriculum on the material that we cover in class. Well, I saw, it wasn't necessarily terribly successful because some kids just never have a buy-in. But what I was seeing is that once you put a kid in front of a computer, especially this generation of kids, and when I talk about this generation, I'm talking about net generation. They change. They become different. And I believe that comes from upbringing. I look at my kids and where they come from, and I work in an urban school, so we do talk about a lot about where these kids come from, but we tend to think of socioeconomics and not necessarily intellectual development. I look at these kids and I realize that they've grown up with Sesame Street, Dora the Explorer, and all of these other video online, and they teach them colors, they teach them shapes, they teach them the alphabet, they teach them their numbers, and then when we move them on. We put a leapster in front of them while we're driving to the grocery store. Here, just keep busy. Here's a leapster, and they're doing their math online, or they're in front of a computer playing with the simulation that helps them add numbers, or even multiplication, or even division. All these things that are going on as these children are developing. They go into school and they start doing reports. They start doing research. Well, they don't go to the library anymore. They don't go to the encyclopedia anymore. Instead, they just simply go online and search out resources online. So their brain has been hardwired to think of information online. As a matter of fact, studies are showing, and I don't know how recent these studies are, that kids tend to believe information online 20% more than information that's being delivered to them orally. So if I were to tell them that the Earth was round, or if they saw it online, they would believe it more if they saw it online. So I've noticed that there was a big change in that when a kid sits in front of a computer, they tend to assimilate information, not necessarily more efficiently, but in a way that's more comfortable to them. So I started developing the stuff that I had my kids working by posting online and adding to it. As a matter of fact, the gentleman by Dr. Walter Lewin. If you've never seen Lewin's lectures on physics, he's a brilliant man. This idea of videotaping all of his lectures, I think he's got close to 200 lectures, each 2 hours in length, is just amazing, and it's really groundbreaking what he did. So I started using his material, and I started using stuff I could find on iTunes University and Academic Earth, and all these academic sources. Well, what I wanted was not a 2-hour lecture. What I wanted was a 15-minute lecture on a very, very simple topic, and then another 15-minute lecture and another 15-minute lecture, until what I would have normally done in class, an hour-long lecture, is now broken up into a whole series of lectures. So I didn't really find the resources that I wanted, so I started doing it myself. So I created this program, and it was nothing more than lectures and homework assignments that were done entirely online. And at that time, I wasn't even familiar with this term called blended or hybrid. I later got tagged that way. I got a friend of mine who's in education technology was like, "Oh, you're doing blended class. That's great. Sometime we're going to have to go in there and videotape you doing it." But I digress. So I was just building it, just seeing what my kids were able to do. And what I found why this group was working was that online lecture isn't enough. It never will be enough. So blending it, this online method of information delivery. So what I've tried to do is say, all right, everything that is sheer information, just information and facts and figures and whatever, all that goes online. But if lecture is not enough and I need more information online, what do I do from there? Well, I started researching some of the other physics-related websites. Physics Classroom is a great place. Hyperphysics is another excellent source. It's a little bit higher than what I need it to be. And I started copying and pasting, obviously posting a link back to the original source. And what I found is my GT kids performed better when there were text in front of them in addition to the video lecture. Where my traditional kids geared more towards the video lecture and less to the text. So I just started creating a website that had everything that I could possibly have on there for information delivery. I've moved on. I've included simulations from CU Boulder, the PhET project, embedding video or embedding simulations into my assignments. And I've really tried to come up with a class that has everything that you could possibly need, not necessarily want, from a website. There's still a lot of things I want to work on that I haven't got enough time to. I'm doing this basically by myself and a couple of kids. But what I finally had reached is a point where I allow my classes to totally differentiate. It's physically possible for me to have a classroom of 35 kids, and a third of them are doing the traditional program, a third of them doing honors, and a third of them doing EP. Because of the way in which the information is there. And it takes you back to the one-room schoolhouses, where you have all of these levels of people in your classroom, all of these different skill levels, and they can interact with each other. They can start talking to each other. So you're getting that bright kid that would normally be pulled out of a traditional class back in an environment where they can interact with that one kid that isn't still in a traditional class and still struggling with some of the basics. So I've been able to do that. And the other thing I've been able to do, and I've had some success with this, is that my truly gifted students, the students that have a good understanding of mathematics and a good understanding of science, and an interest in physics, can move at a pace much, much, much faster than what you would normally get in a traditional class. I've had students that were able to finish the entire breadth of the curriculum months before the end of the semester. Literally months. And they were able to take that time and study for high, standardized testing. Obviously, if you've been to the website, you see I run an AP and an IB program. And what I found is those kids that move ahead, that have a better grasp, will actually get a chance to score better because they've got the material, and now they're going to spend the remaining months just studying for that exam. So I've had a lot of success with the advanced kids that way. Now, I'm still working on getting the average kid to perform better. I'm slowly working along, piece by piece by piece by piece. But I am trying to create a classroom that allows me to differentiate on skill levels. So I can put a traditional kids in there with AP kids. And I'm trying to differentiate in that AP program and IB program where the kids with a lot of interest and a lot of drive can move faster than the kids that don't have the same kind of interest and drive. So that's what my classroom looks like. It's blended, but it's a different kind of blending. It's blending with differentiation. It's taking it and pushing it beyond just the traditional, all right, your homework today is you're going to go home and you're going to watch that 60-minute lecture. And tomorrow when you come in, we're going to work on that problem. I don't believe that kid, the smart kid, has to move at the same pace as everybody else. It puts me on the spot. I've got to know everything every day. But I'm willing to step up to that. Okay? So that's kind of what's going on.